Hello, I'm Claire and I'm here to help you become a better dancer. I've been teaching ballet for 9 years and I love watching my students grow and develop into these amazing, beautiful dancers. And it's just so rewarding and I want to share my knowledge with you. So today I am going to be working on control and coordination. So it's quite an important part of dance really, and ballet in particular, because you need to be controlled. You don't want to be toppling out of your pirouettes or letting your leg plonk down after a beautiful développé. And you want to be coordinated. You want everything to come together as one lovely package of movements so that you look like a fabulous dancer. And I'm here to give you some tips to help you on that. We have actually already done a little bit of work on coordination, and hopefully, if my technical skills are good enough, I shall put a little button for that here if you want to look on what I've already said about coordination. But we're going to take it a little bit further. So a few little points we're thinking about today. So working on the control element. I guess one of the really important parts is to control our hips. Naturally, we tend to stand a little bit like this, yes, with a slight arch in our back, which is absolutely fine. And we're not trying to remove that arch because you need a little bit for shock absorption. But what we're going to try and remove is this tilt here, because that actually limits the amount of rotation you have in your legs. And in ballet, you want to be able to turn your legs out, rotate them as much as possible so that ideally it's 180 degrees with one knee pointing that way, one knee pointing this way. So that's what the ultimate aim is. Not everyone can get there because not everyone has that rotation in their hip socket. Don't worry if you're one of those people who doesn't have 90-degree rotation in each hip socket. It's quite rare to have it in your hip socket. You can dance beautifully with your legs turned out. A little bit like that. They're sort of like, I'd say, 100 degrees, yes? It's not the end of the world. If you're rotating beautifully from the top of your leg, your dancing will still appear turned out and look lovely. Don't be tempted to turn your feet out to 180 degrees and let your thighs roll forwards, because that will end up causing all the turnout to come from your knees, which can cause twisted knees and it can cause uneven wear and tear on your knee joint. And believe me, I've done it, it will have long-term implications when you're dancing if you do it all the time. So, first thing about our hip alignment is if I control my core, I'm pulling my core in here, and that naturally helps maintain what we call neutral hips. So that's your hips not being tucked under, equally that's not right, but it reduces the arch, so you've got a gentle, your tailbone is pointing more of a diagonal rather than, well, it's very, very horizontal, rather than pointing out there. So basically you kind of lift up at the front, down at the back. That's another way of thinking of it. You don't want to stick your hips out. You're all nice and contained, okay? And what that does is that allows this to happen, so the top of your legs to rotate outwards. You use these muscles to actually activate the rotation, but then you also use these muscles, which are adductors, kind of draw those legs together and help maintain that turnout in your legs, okay? So that's one reason we want to control, certainly our core and our hips and our turnout muscles, so that we can actually work in a beautifully turned out position, so our insides are really nice and easy and smooth, and they travel nicely from side to side, and our positions are beautifully placed with nice turned out legs, okay? The other element of control is control of our arms. Actually, it's very easy if your arms are kind of get a little bit wild. They can either start bouncing up and down when we're doing jumps because they're trying to help us, or they can kind of just have a little bit of lack of strength when you're doing a port de bras. If they're not, what we say is held in the back, then it really, really affects that port de bras. Now, holding your arms in the back, I don't like to do that, but it's true. Holding your arms in your back, it's a very random thing to say. I used to hear it when I was at college and think, what do they mean by holding my arms in my back? I'll be trying to sort of work out what exactly they meant. I've now realised that it's this feeling of pulling, engaging these muscles under your shoulder blades that pull those shoulder blades down and out, and literally it kind of creates like a little flap over the back of your arms, controlling your arms in your back, so they're held in your back. So you get that lovely flow of a nice smooth line right from your shoulder all the way around down to your fingertips. And then you get that lovely feeling of your arms being held in the back. And then if they're held like that, your movements have so much more control about them, and they have more substance as well. With both your limbs and your arms and your legs, also feeling that resistance as you dance. So imagine you're pushing against something, pushing the air away. That really helps give you control in your movements as well, without making it tense. You don't want to be like that, but that feeling of resistance as you're moving, that gives you control because it doesn't kind of flop about. So those are the elements of control that I want you to think on this week. You might find your balance is much stronger. You might find your pirouettes much more, again, on balance, in control. So that will really help you. You might find your jumps, because everything's quite controlled and not kind of just sort of, not that anyone dances like that, but not kind of flopping about, your arms doing that. You'll find that your arms aren't working against your jumps, they'll help you with the jump. Okay, so now onto the coordination bit. That is where we are really making sure that we're working our body in one solid unit, like a whole package, as I mentioned earlier. One really good example of a challenge of coordination is the fondu exercise. Okay, so in that exercise, you've got arms, legs, and head all working together, and each limb is working at a different speed. Okay, so this is a fondu exercise if you're not sure. So you've got the fondu and extend, and in and extend. Yes, I might have done the first one, not that coordinated. I'll have a look when I go back. But that will be an example of how easy it is to forget about the coordination, because you've got this leg, which only has to straighten. So it has very little distance to go. So you have to really resist and hold back on your supporting leg. This leg doesn't have so far, or has a little bit more, but you want them both to get there at the same time, okay? And the arm has the furthest of all. It has to go through blah bar to first and second. So I like to think of it as the 3 lanes of the motorway. You've got your slow lane, your middle lane, your fast lane. This one's doing the overtaking. I tend not to think so much about this leg, but I tend to think about the slow lane and the fast lane. So I think of really slowing this leg down and making sure that my arm goes properly down, forward and out, so that I get that lovely movement. I don't end up kind of just doing a little open the door and close the door movement. So if I think everything comes down, forward and out, and gets there at the same time. Everything down, arm goes forward and out, gets there at the same time. So nothing stops, but it's all going that lovely smooth, and it gets there at the same time. To help you with your face or your eye line, look towards the hand. You don't have to look at your hand, but I tend to look towards my hand. I am actually looking at my hand at that point, but looking towards your hand really, really helps keep your head moving with your movement. Yeah, so it becomes part of the package. It's very easy to get your concentrating face on and go, and you're thinking really, really hard to make it look lovely, and you're forgetting about your expression and the movement of your head. Okay, so that's another really important one. And to be honest, throughout the class, it's very tempting, especially if you've got mirrors in front of you and you're checking to make sure that your line is looking really nice, you're looking in the mirror and you're not actually looking at anything, so you're not projecting out to the audience, but also you're not really conscious of where your eye line is. It might be that you're doing arabesques, your eyes should be looking at your fingers, not going, what's my leg looking like? Yeah, so that's another one to be thinking about. So thinking about those things throughout the week will really, really help you. Okay, those are my tips for this week. So thinking about everything working together, think about eye line, where that eye line is meant to be to coordinate it, and also thinking about that control of your hips, the positioning of your hips to ensure that that allows the best turnout action, and the actual action of being turned out helps you balance it, controls your balance. Few ones for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like my videos, please do subscribe to the channel. Please like, please share, please let me know how you get on. I'd love to know. Yeah, because obviously I'm here to help you, and I love to see people progress and people get better, and it's like, yes, good celebration. And also, yeah, if you want to dance with me, you can go to bridgeballet.co.uk and book a class, or if you can't join me live, you can join the ballet club, bridgeballet.club, and have a class anytime. See you later. Take care. Bye.